Welcome to episode 202 of Explode Your Expert Business Show, brought to you by gtex.org.uk. I'm your host, Simone Vincenzi, the Expert Strategist, and this is the podcast for experts who want to become the ultimate authority in their niche while making an impact in the world. Now, today is all about building a lifestyle writing for major publication and getting corporate gigs with Kimanzi Constable. Kimanzi is a good friend and is the author of 4 books that have sold over 150,000 copies. He's a writer for 14 large publications and he travels to 25 plus countries every year for corporate consulting gigs. In fact, in these episodes, we talk about how to get featured on major publications, how to get high-paying corporate consulting gigs, and how to create the lifestyle you want through consulting and writing. So if you're interested in getting in major publication, why shouldn't you be interested in that? Or getting corporate consulting gigs? Listen to this episode until the end because it's just full of strategies that you can use straight away. Some of the strategies that I've learned just by listening to Kimanzi got me in a few publications as well that I wanted to reach out to. And the more publications you're going to be able to reach, then the more people you're going to impact and get in front of. So get to the end of this episode. You will absolutely love it. Now, if you want to make 6 figures sales from presentation and become awesome at selling from the stage, but without compromising your integrity, I've created the ultimate selling from the stage checklist, which is the most comprehensive checklist to create a pitch that sells, but without using manipulative or sleazy techniques. If you scroll down in the description, you will find the show notes. You will find that there is a link, and that link will bring you to the page where you can download that checklist. Has been downloaded more than 10,000 times by now. People have been raving about it, so I'm sure you will love it too if you haven't downloaded it yet. And again, if you haven't subscribed to our podcast, then subscribe right now so you don't miss out any other great episode and masterclasses that we launch weekly 2 to 3 times a week on our show. And if you feel that this journey is a bit lonely and isolating, running a business is everything but easy, and you want to connect with like-minded people, get a training on how you can become an authority in your field, then join our free Facebook group, Explode Your Expert Biz Community. You can find it on Facebook at Explode Your Expert Biz Community, or just scroll down in the show notes, there is another link there. Without further ado, it's time to start the show right now, so enjoy episode 202, Building a Lifestyle Writing for Major Publications with Kimanzi Constable. Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to another episode of Explode Your Expert Biz Show. Today I'm here with the one and the only, the super sexy Kimanzi Constable. How you doing, Kimanzi?
I think you're the one that's looking kind of sexy this morning, so I
is
appreciate you saying that about
me. Is the 2 of us?
I'm doing well. I'm excited to be here. I'm honored to be here. Thank you so much for having me on.
It's my pleasure, and it's great to have you here. I've attended recently, that's why I wanted you on this show, because I've attended a training that you did for Desislava and for our community on how to get featured in publication, how to get to write for major publication. And I already write for a lot of major publication, but I was blown away about what you shared. I said, no, you know what? This guy is the real deal. I need to have him on the show immediately. And that's why I contacted you immediately. So we're going to talk today about paid publication, paid speaking engagements. We're going to talk about also corporate consulting, so as you make a nice living from there, from all these 3 things combined together. Can you just tell us a bit more about yourself so people that don't know you can understand what got you to do what you're doing right now?
Yeah, I started my entrepreneurship journey at 19 years old, and I had a service business
19!
offline. 19, yeah.
Jeez!
It was a vacation relief service for independent operators. I won't get into the details of what that was, but basically, it allowed me to have a offline business that grew to $500,000 a year. It had 6 employees. We operate in 3 states, and I did that for 12 years. And while I was doing that, it was a great business, and it still is for somebody else, not me, somebody else today, because it wasn't really my passion and where I knew that I wanted to go. But through that business, it allowed me to understand entrepreneurship, and then it led me to podcast. Because while I was operating this business, I started listening to podcasts on my phone, which were kind of a newer thing in 2012. That led me to discover Pat Flynn and Smart Passive Income.
Ah,
And he
great
started talking,
podcast.
yeah, and he started talking about this passive income and making money on the internet. And at first, I thought it was a scam. I'm like, what is this guy talking about, right? Because I didn't touch computers or do any of that stuff. But I was willing to listen, and I expanded my mind and said, okay, let me see what this is about. So I knew that there was a book in me, like most of us, right? I think they said 80% of people have a book in them or something to that effect. And I knew that there was a book in me that I wanted to get out to the world. He had a free guide that showed you how to structure an ebook. I used that free guide, I structured the ebook, and I put it out there to the world. And that's what got me into this world of online business. And then that led to the rabbit hole of being able then to write for other places and then finding publications. And then from there, finding these other opportunities that we're going to talk about today. So at this point, I've been doing this since 2011. I travel to about 25 countries a year for corporate consulting gigs where I'm primarily teaching corporations about digital marketing. I write for 14 publications. My books have sold over 150,000 copies, and I wake up every morning and I love doing this.
Oh, that's so good. What was your first ebook? I'm curious. What was your
Uh,
first ebook about?
it was called Tales of the Everyday Working Man and Woman, and it was about how the average working person can find or create work that they love. So very different than my message today, but I wanted to talk to that everyday blue
Yeah.
collar person.
And was it like because I remember the reason why I'm asking it because what you're saying it reminds me about my first book that I've written, and I was 23, I was 7 years ago, and I man, I'm Italian. I cannot even speaking. I couldn't even speak English, not even write. It was full of spelling mistakes. It was a crap book. I sold about 2,000 copies of that, but it was like the first draft. Was it actually? Was it yours? Something that was like the very embryonic stage, or did you do something good as a first one?
No, it was like I look at it when I go back and look at it because I haven't touched it. I'm like, wow, like that was. It feels like a different lifetime ago, right? It feels like a different person wrote that a different lifetime ago, and it didn't sell anything. It sold like I think initially like 5 copies in the first 6 months.
Yoo-hoo!
It eventually did start to get some sales, but yeah, it was very amateurish, but it was a big step for me. So I'm definitely proud of it.
Well, and the reason why I'm asking this, it also because if someone is listening right now and you haven't, and you're the kind of perfectionist, the most important thing is that you get it done. There is always a second draft, there is always a third draft, and throughout this process, you learn about actually the process of publication. Because I'm thinking, and I don't know if you can expand on this, but was it also, did you use what you learned there to also launch then the other programs that you did?
Yeah, absolutely. It caused me to launch my whole online platform. It caused me to understand that I needed to understand how to build an audience and generate leads. It was a springboard that helped me do everything that I do now when it did not sell.
All right, cool. So, like, and I want to put business on the side for a moment. I just want to get to know a bit better. Outside business, what does Kimanzi loves? Do you have other passions? Do you have other stuff that you do outside of the business world?
Yeah, I love to travel, of course. I do it professionally, but I also love to explore countries while we are traveling, be able to go see the sights and to get the experience, to hear the languages, to use the money just to get lost in a country. So I love travel. I don't love time on airplanes. Like I could get over if Elon Musk would just vent whatever the next thing in travel is, that would be great. I love entertainment. So, like, I love movies and I love shows, and sometimes I watch a few too many, but that's okay because I love being entertained and taken to another world. I love fiction books, like, especially end of the world type books. I don't know why, but it's my weird thing. Like, I'm obsessed with end of the world type books. So, like, when this all collapses and we gotta, like, use silver and survive and do this, I'm gonna be ready
You
because
know
I've
what to
read.
do. I'm
I
gonna
know what
call
to
you.
do.
Something happens, I'm gonna call you. I know. Yeah, there's a new
I got
business, the
you.
Kimanzi Survival Kit.
I got you. So I love to read fiction books. I love to write, of course. Again, I do it professionally, but I love just to do it for fun. I write a lot of things that are not published and that will never be published that are just for me. I love nature. I love outdoors. I love like ships. I'm obsessed with large ships.
Okay.
So like cruise ships or tankers or whatever. Like I've watched, if you looked at my YouTube and saw how many documentaries are about ships, you're like, this dude's like a little off. Like I think in another life, I worked on a ship somewhere and just traveled the world working on a ship.
Probably. You know
But
what?
those are some of the things that I
I've
enjoy.
just booked a cruise because I've been for the first cruise last year, and I'm going to another one this year. And it was a huge ship. It was with Royal Caribbean. They had Oasis of the Seas. And now we're going to Allure of the Seas, and these ships are they is a life, is a life on their own. It's crazy.
Yeah, I've never been on a cruise ship. I've obviously seen them. I'm going to be going on one in March, but from what I understand, it's like a floating castle on
It
there. Is
is.
that true?
It is. Which one? Do you know which one did you book?
It's going to be one of the carnival ones.
Carnival. Yeah, there are
Yep.
some massive cruise ship. Okay, so now we've told we know we get to know you. We got to know you a bit better. So it seems that you really love life because you have such a variety of passions here that it feels that you're really in love with life, and it's important because the purpose of this podcast is not just to get you to become a workaholic. Probably you're already a workaholic if you're listening to this, like myself. You don't need someone to tell you that you got to get stuff done. But it's important that also you keep your mind open to other stuff. Because I remember there was a moment where for me it was just about business, and I became so narrow-minded. And while by exploring other different things, it also gave me better idea and helped me also grow my business faster, just because I had these options. So now let's talk about the methodologies that you do, because you do three things very well. One is to get paid to write for publications. Two is to get paid to speak. And three is to get corporate consulting gigs, which they are three of the what a lot of people would say they're the most difficult things to get in. When you're looking at all the market and all the different opportunities of the market, these are probably the three most difficult things to get in. But you make it look so easy. Every time you talk about it, it's so freaking easy. So let's put some light on the way you do it, your methodology, and the work that you do.
And what's cool is these are all interconnected. Getting one leads to the other too. So I'm going to give you in this time the super secret strategy just for my buddy Simone and the podcast listeners on how to get all three.
Sweet.
But and something that I want everybody to understand, because you hit on something important, is this. Like we're talking about things that I've done for 6 years and now have gotten to the point where it's clicking, right? So I don't want you to think that in that 6 years it just clicked from day one, because it definitely did not. Like day one, if you saw the initial pitches, if you saw the initial $500 gigs that I did and how terrible like I bombed those, and if you saw the initial stuff, it's all been a learning experience. But for me, I think the catalyst for all three of these is the large publications, and I'm going to tell you why. When you are a contributor to the large publications like Simone is and like myself is, when you're a contributor, you get exposure. You get exposure to millions of readers. Like all of these publications have millions of readers. Like Entrepreneur gets 69 million unique visitors a month. That number just blows my mind, right? And all in Inc. and Forbes, and they all get like a lot of people. But it's the mix of people and organizations that are consuming this. When you think about the print magazines, where are those going? Who's subscribing to those? Who's paying for those every month, right? So it's not just individual entrepreneurs, it's HR managers, it's CEOs, it's COOs, it's small businesses, it's large corporations. They're the ones that are consuming the content on these publications. So you put out content on your topic, your expertise, and you are demonstrating your expertise consistently. And I'm not talking about being featured. So being featured means getting interviewed, like you might have a line, a quote, maybe even a full interview. That's good. It's a good starting point, but you need more than that. You need your own contributor accounts where you can consistently publish content in audio, video, and written form. You can do all three in a publication because they're now very multimedia. And when you consistently publish content, you're showing your expertise to this wide array of people. So when it comes to you want to book paid speaking gigs, you want to book consulting gigs, you are creating content for the people that would hire you to do just that. And if you looked at the 26 corporate consulting gigs that I booked this year, I'll tell you like 14 of those came to me organically from the publications that I'm a contributor for. And there was even more than that that had approached me that didn't turn into deals. So not everybody that approaches you, as you know, is going to become a client or turn into a deal. But it does give you the conversations that do lead to those deals.
Absolutely.
Yeah, being in the publications, I think, is the catalyst to help you get the other two. Now, should we go into specifics?
Yeah, let's go into. So, what I would love to know is when talking about publication, two things. One, where will be the starting point for someone who has already been in business for a while? You know what you're talking about, but is not yet been on publication or major publications yet, so might not have the credibility to approach a publication and say, hey, I'm writing for these other 15 publications, get me in. But also then the next part is to look at, if someone is already in publication, then what can you do to leverage them even more to get those consulting gigs and to get those speaking gigs? So let's divide. Let's start first with I want to get in. Where do we start?
For those of you that are new, that have never been in a publication, the first starting point is your own website and making sure you have content there. This is the biggest knock and the biggest thing that people overlook because you're so eager to get in the publication. When a publication editor comes back and looks at your site and they see that the last piece of content you put was like 3 years ago, guess what? They're going to think you're not going to be consistent in their publication, and it's an instant no. So it starts with your own platform, doing some updating. I know there's some of you that are listening to this that need to update your platform. So this is me calling you out. You need to go back and update your platform, put some fresh content, have at least 4 pieces of content on there. And with WordPress, I don't know if you can do this in Squarespace, but with WordPress, you can remove the dates from your content to where then the dates don't show up and it all looks fresh, right? So that's one. 2, start going after what I call multi-author websites. So some examples of these could be Mind Body Green, Addicted to Success, Thrive Global, Medium, Influencive. There's a lot of these sites that are not quite large publications, but they are not blogs. They're a step above that. They have contributors that create the content, and then they have editors there that edit it and publish it. These sites like Mind Body Green, for example, for those of you that do anything in wellness, gets 23 million unique visitors a month. That's not too shabby.
That's not bad.
That's nothing to, That's no, not bad. It's not bad. Addicted to Success.
Definitely more than what my website gets. So.
Yeah. Addicted to Success gets 10 million, and the list could go on. One that you can simply sign up for right now is Thrive Global. You can go to their site, you can go to their sign up. They will give you a contributor account. You then have the ability to upload an article and send it, and it will be published on their site as long as it's not racist, offensive, sexist, or like overly promotional. You'll be able to publish an article there. Same thing for Medium. Same thing for a site like the Goodman Project, where they'll let you sign up, create an account, and publish an article. There's quite a few of these publications that are like this that will let you submit content as long as it is on message, like it fits that publication. So don't go to the Goodman Project and talk about, your pet wearables technology, right? It's not going to work. As long as you stay on message, you're going to be good, and you're going to get your first few pieces published online. That's going to give you the credibility to then go ahead and start approaching the larger publications. Mm-hmm. Now, the second side of that coin is you talked about people that are maybe already in, and they want to learn how to leverage it. Well, guess what? First, you want to have a content plan. This is where I see most people that kind of miss the mark is when they're in a publication, they're like, all right, I did all the work, I'm in. And then they get the contributor account, and then they're like this, okay, it's time to publish an article. Okay, what am I going to write about? Okay, I want to write about, well, you have so many ideas in your head, you literally don't know what to write about. Yeah. Like 100 things come up, but more than that is scattered. When you do eventually find an idea, it might not fit your message. It might not fit what you're promoting in your business at this moment. It might not fit the direction that you're going in. You need a plan. You need a plan. Think about the themes within your core message, assign each of those themes to a month, and then go ahead and create content on that theme. For example, I do lifestyle business. That's kind of one of my messages. Yep. All right. What are the themes within lifestyle business? Audience building, sales, multiple streams of income. I could assign each one of those themes to a month. So the month of November could be sales month. The month of December could be audience building month. And then within that month, I'm writing about sales all month. I'm writing about audience building all month. Well, with those topics, there's a lot that I could say on those topics, a whole lot that I could say on those topics. So just get yourself a content plan that's going to work for your own site, and it's going to work for the publications. Produce that expert content. And then for those of you that are in these large publications, create that content, but also start looking at the other publications that are specifically marketed to companies. So like one that comes to mind is Workforce. Workforce.com. It's for everything HR. You're going to be talking to human resources people. They hire people. They hire consultants and speakers. Another one would be CEO.com. Guess who you're talking to?
Yeah, CEOs? Really?
Right?
No way.
ChiefExecutive.net. Who are you talking to? You're talking to chief executives. So you have the credibility and social proof already with the big ones. Create content that's specifically going to be targeted towards these organizations, and then leverage the large ones to get into these, let's say, more niche type publications that are specifically for organizations. And guess what? Some of these will pay you to write for them.
Ooh, let's talk about paying, right? A lot of people that are like, I will be just happy to go in and write my article in exchange for the exposure. So now you mentioned some publications that are paying you. Is it different, the approach, or do you use the same approach, or is it different to get into a publication that pays their contributors instead of going to a publication that actually wants their contributors for free?
Yeah, so the approach, it's going to kind of be similar, but what I'm going to say this, when you are approaching any type of publication and you're not quite sure of the process, what you should do is you should put together a pitch that has a subject line that's going to create curiosity. It's going to get somebody curious enough to open the email. Don't put something like article submission, contributor submission, or anything like that. That's what internet marketers, and nobody's opening that. So create some curiosity in that subject line, 1 to 7 words. First paragraph, I want you to go through their publication and find one specific reference point, something that you like, an article, a theme, a way that they do something. Talk about that in the first paragraph to show the editor, and this is at any publication, whether it's paid or not, to show the editor that you've done research. The second paragraph, I want you to talk about who you are as an expert. Then I want you to put a few writing samples. So like 2 of your best pieces, I want you to link to them so they can get a feel for your style. And then at the end, what I'm going to suggest is you suggest pitch ideas. So these are potential articles you could write for a publication. I want you their headline and a paragraph describing what the article would be about. So I want you to create five pitch ideas. So what you do is you go to, and for paid publications, you go to the paid, like one paid publication, for example, would be Boston Globe Magazine. Boston Globe Magazine, they cover kind of news, relationship stuff, trending topics, right? You go to Boston Globe Magazine and you look through their publication and you see the type of things that they publish and you come up with 5 potential articles that you could write for them. So let's say article number 1 is how to build a business with your life partner. That could be suggestion number 1. Number 2 could be the super secret strategy to getting unlimited sales. That's number 2. And then you can go on and do that. And then you come up with these headlines and describe out a paragraph describing out what these articles would be about. So when you're submitting to paid publications, that's what you're doing. You're giving them options to choose from, 5 options to choose from, and they're going to come back and they're going to say, yes, we like 2 of these, we like 1 of these, we like 3 of these. And then at that point, they're going to say, hey, we paid this amount of money, $2 a word per article at Boston Globe, for example, and there are publications that pay more than that. This is what we pay. This is our process. Here's our contract. Let's move forward in the process.
And do you suggest to create a unique pitch for every single publication, or would you submit like a similar pitch if you see that there is a publication that would talk about the similar subjects?
You could submit the social proof is always going to stay the same. Maybe the subject line would stay the same. The beginning paragraph is going to change because it's going to be specific research on the company.
To the publication.
And then the pitch ideas, I would not submit the same pitch ideas unless you knew for sure that the publication you submitted to is not going to use them. Because then you could end up in a situation where if you're submitting the same ideas, that 1 or 2 or more want the same article. And then
you're screwed because
you're screwed.
they get your game. That's brilliant. So guys, make sure that you go back to this part of the interview when you're creating your pitch, because here, like so far, and I know we've been going pretty fast, but Kimanzi gave you already about 4 or 5 different publications to get started with. Then he gave you already a publication that pays to write. He gave you already the structure of the pitch, and that's already been in like 23 minutes so far. So, this is an episode that you want to listen at least 4 or 5 times, depending of the different layers and different details that you want to get out of it. So now I want to know, going to the next part, is how do you do something in particular through that content to make sure, or to invite the conversation from corporation to contact you? Is this something that you put in the article? Because I know that for these publications, the article needs to be non-promotional at all. Like, you cannot talk about the word, this is what I do, this is how much money I'm earning, this is the work that I'm doing with my clients. It's completely different from something that you would put on your own website. So how do you create the balance between not talking about yourself too much, but positioning yourself as a thought leader, and at the same time, though, creating the inquiry in a platform that wouldn't promote that too much?
Yeah, so it is a delicate balance. First, I think the most important part of that equation is your bio on a publication. And many people put this big, long bio that covers like so many different things, and it's not optimized to what an organization would be looking for. This is the biggest thing that you have to do. You have to demonstrate that you are the type of entrepreneur that works with more than just individual entrepreneurs. For most people watching this, your business is so focused on getting individual entrepreneurs as clients in your course, in your membership website, whatever, that if an organization came and they saw your bio say something like, I help entrepreneurs go from 6 figures to 7 figures, well, Okay, that's great for you, but how does that work for my organization? So your bio has to demonstrate that you work with individuals and that you work with organizations. A simple tweak you could have made is I help businesses. I help businesses scale from where they are and double and triple their revenue, right? It's a simple tweak that applies to entrepreneurs and it applies to organizations because you're not talking about 6 or 7 figures. 6 or 7 figures is like 10 minutes at a corporation, right? Like it's not a big amount of money.
Yep.
So
That's what they pay you.
that's what they pay you, right? Yeah. And so don't get that specific and don't get too specific to entrepreneurs. So first is optimize your bio to make it feel like you work with more than individuals. You also work with organizations. Then within the post, you are going to have the opportunity. You're not going to have the opportunity to link a lot. It depends on your relationship with the editor. If you have a great relationship with the editor, they're going to let you do a few more things. If you do not, you're going to have to focus on the topic. But then also there's going to be parts in that article where you could slide in a one-liner. Like something like, this is what I do with my corporate clients. This is what I do with organizations, right? You can slide in one-liners there where you're not linking, that are just putting that subliminal message inside there for organizations, for paid speaking opportunities, for whatever it is that you're going after. So optimize that bio, slide in those one-liners. If you do have that relationship with your editor, you don't want to abuse the relationship, but you do have a little bit more latitude to go ahead and then talk about you and what you do.
Could you put something like if you want to get keynote, because I have a lot of clients working with the speakers. I have a lot of clients that are paid to speak speakers, and I have a lot of clients that are selling kind of from the stage types of speakers, like myself mainly. Could you put, if you are looking for paid speaking engagements, something like I did in my previous presentation at this company, this is what I talked about there, and then put something around it? Would it work, or is it a bit too much?
Yeah, so that would work because you're being very subtle as long as it fit in context with the rest of the article.
Yeah.
Yes.
Is an example. It's just to create a bit the context. You drop the line in, so now the reader knows that you are doing corporate gig. Okay, that's good. That's good to know. Is really fascinating to see how then you can use this to then get the gig and get the corporate clients. Do you do something different because there's two different things now from the publication. One is the paid speaking engagement that can come in the form of a keynote, or there is a corporate contract. Do you attract the corporate contract in the same or a different way you would attract then the paid speaking engagement using this process?
You would do it pretty much the same, but your focus of the article and the one-liners that you drop would be different depending on the organization. So like conferences, what I would tell you this, if you wanted to get on the radar of conferences, a simple tweak that you could make is use a platform like Thrive Global, for example, Ariana Huffington's platform, and other publications where you have a good relationship. You can go and write an article, the 5 conferences that you must attend in 2019, and list off all the conferences that you want to speak at. You put them in that article, link to them. Yeah, you see I see the light bulb already going off. You can link to them.
I've got something to do this weekend. Give me something to do this week.
You have gotten on the radar of these conferences before you ever approached them, before you ever even dreamed about pitching them. You've gotten on their radar just by giving them some press. And then you go to the conference and you say, hey, I love your conference. I linked to it in this article on Ariana Huffington's platform. Or if you have, I've done this on Entrepreneur, I've done this on Business Insider because of the relationships that I have with the editors. I wouldn't suggest for those of you that are new contributors to Entrepreneur or those places to try this. You have to establish that relationship first. But you cannot write about an organization or an individual that has paid you to write about them. That's against the terms of condition.
Yep.
But if you have not been booked to speak there, you haven't been paid. Right? So you're well within the ethical bounds. You have not get paid. You're using it to get on their radar, to give them some press. And if you want to speak there, chances are you probably like this event for a certain reason. So write about whatever that reason is, give them a little press, get on their radar, and that's a better approach.
Yeah, it's a very thin line for everyone who wants to feature other people, because then the moment you become a contributor, like I'm a contributor for Forbes, for Entrepreneur, and other major platforms, and the moment you become a contributor for these platforms, then you will receive every day pitches of 10, 15, 20 people asking you, can you get me in? Or PR agents getting you in and say, hey, can you get my client in? How much is it? I will pay you. And a lot of people lose their contributor benefits because of that, because generally the editors are very wary about the game that is going on in the background, which actually what you're doing, you're taking advertising revenues away from the platform by getting paid yourself. That's the game you're
And
doing,
it's
right?
just that it's such a short-sighted strategy because yes, you could make money for links and mentions and features, right? But how much money are you going to make in the long term for your
Yep.
business with large publications? How many clients have you? I know you've gotten a lot of clients, right? And you've gotten exposure. Like, are you going to risk that for $300,
No
for
way.
$100? It's ridiculous.
No, but I got people even pitching me 1,000. They were willing to pay $1,000, $2,000. Some PR company. I was like, no, I'm not interested. Good, easy $2,000 to put in my account, but I'm not gonna risk that.
No.
And I'm very clear. No, I'm sorry. It's against my terms and condition. Don't take money for this kind of things. Thank you for reaching out. Goodbye. And that's the kind of answer. Oh man, I love this interview. That already gave me some cool ideas on writing some articles here. Every time I listen to one of your training, God, you get my brains fired up. I love that. I love that. So now we're transitioning to the part of the interview which is called lifting the veil, where I'm going to ask you a tool, an app, a book that you've read, or a practice, transcendental practice that I don't know, something that you've found recently that made a difference in your life or in your business. What's that for you, Kimanzi?
I think probably one of the biggest shifts that I made that have helped me recently was attending Unleash the Power Within, Tony Robbins event,
Okay.
and going to the conference in person and hearing from Tony and seeing it. But then after that conference, really starting to pay attention to not only Tony Robbins, but other thought leaders that have talked about the power of your thoughts and the power of your mind. So what I do every morning is the first thing I do when I get up is I turn on YouTube. I look for talks, trainings that are on being in control of your thoughts, being in control of your mindset, and listening to what different thought leaders like Tony Robbins and Eric Thomas and Mel Robbins and Les Brown have to say about the power of the mind. And once you master that, what it could do for different areas in your life. So if you ask the app, I would say that it's the conference is Unleash the Power Within. The app would be YouTube, and then the topic would be mindset and really being the master of your thoughts. Because I don't know about the person that's listening to this, but I've spiraled. I've spiraled several times throughout the day, several times in my life where I let my thoughts make something bigger in my mind than it actually was. And it got me completely off track of my goals and where I want to be. So if you can really master your thoughts, you can really learn how to turn those negative thoughts into positive thoughts, turn and really create that habit. It's going to do wonders for your success, for your income, for your business, for your relationships.
Oh,
Does that make sense?
it makes perfect sense.
Okay.
I can relate with that so much. I'm doing something very similar every morning. So I love the Abraham Hicks.
Oh
I'll put
yeah.
like
Law of
five just
attraction.
5 minutes of Abraham Hicks as soon as I wake up while I'm having my shower, and I'm brushing my teeth, and it's there, and it just sets the day. I can see the difference. I consider. So thank you very much for sharing, because it makes a difference. And I've been also to. That's how actually I started this journey of decided to start in my business, was after attending Unleash the Power Within.
Oh
Uh,
wow. Look at
is
that.
very very powerful training. So thank you very much for sharing, Kimanzi. Now it's time to wrap up. I would love to stay with you here for another 5 hours. Pick your brain as much as possible. I'm sure that other listeners want to do the same. But if people want to reach out to you, get in touch with you, listen to your content, what is that you have for them?
Yeah, head to K Constable. That's KConstable, Constable.com. That is my main platform online. There, when you go right to the landing page, you're going to see 4 free guides that are going to teach you about paid speaking, corporate consulting, large publications, and figuring out your dreams. Those are free. They're action packed. You can take them, use them, and even if you never ever go to the website again, you can still get value from them. But head there, you'll see all my social media links there, all the ways to connect with me. But definitely, if you're coming there from this interview, say, hey, I heard you with Simone and I heard what you had to say. Just say hi and let's get to know each other and build that relationship.
And my recommendation is also to follow him on Facebook, because like the amount of contacts that he shares about paid publications completely for free there on social media is incredible. So get on the website, follow him on social media, sign up for all the stuff that he has, because I've been to a few of his training right now and completely blew my mind. I'm sure you blew your mind away today. And you can recognize when someone really knows how to navigate an industry, someone really knows their stuff, and these are the people you gotta pay attention to. There's no problem to keep searching. You found the right man. So make sure you follow Kimanzi. Thank you very much, buddy. I really appreciate it.
Thanks for having me.
And ladies and gentlemen, thank you for listening and being here today. If you haven't subscribed yet, what the heck are you waiting for? Subscribe right now. Make sure you share it with everyone that you know, even your cat, your dog, your goldfish. Everyone needs to know about this podcast, that is interview we did today with Kimanzi. And let us know with a 5-star review what was your biggest learning from today. These reviews help us out to connect with more people and expand our audience. That's the best thing you can do, to say thank you for the podcast that we create for you. If you're enjoying the content, but I'm sure if you've been listening so far, you are. So subscribe, leave us a review, and share it with the world. Thank you very much. And remember that together we grow exponentially. See you next time. Ciao.